not baby Doc Cuomo. Now joining us with the news is Grace.
Howie, speaking of Andrew Cuomo, did you hear about the new rule that's being reinstated at CNN? You're never going to guess this one.
Is this Cuomo, the Cuomo rule?
Fredo will not be covering his brother.
Yeah, I heard that. I think it was yesterday.
It wouldn't be ethical, Howie.
I know.
It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be right.
I know. I heard Rod Blagojevich today was on Newsmax, and he was comparing the Cuomo's appearances, as we have for a long time now, to the Smothers Brothers back in the 60s. The only difference being the Smothers Brothers were actually amusing and humorous.
Yeah, they had a better shtick than like the giant Q-tip or whatever that was supposed to be. The whole joke was that Andrew Cuomo has a big nose, which I don't even think he has one. I didn't get it at all. But maybe I just don't know comedy like the Cuomo brothers do. Howie, I wanted to talk not about the Ted Cruz situation, which people probably have heard. Ted Cruz went to Cancun. Now he's back. It was like the worst walk of shame watching him stroll his little bag back to the airport. But all I wanted to say was the reason I'm mostly mad at Ted Cruz is because he gave the networks an excuse to bring back Beto.
I know.
And that for me is that is a big no-no. You do not give Beto an in with these networks. And that's what he did.
No, they had a painful romantic breakup when his campaign crashed and burned, but now they're trying to pick up the pieces. The networks are getting Beto on the rebound.
He'll have another Vanity Fair cover in a white collared shirt before you can even, think otherwise. Let's play a couple of these cuts here. This is Beto, otherwise known as Robert Francis O'Rourke, on TV today. This is cut, I believe he was on Morning Joe. This is cut 26.
There is no incentive or mandate to have on hand additional generating capacity for extreme weather events like this one, which, as you know, Nicole, are only going to become more likely, more frequent, and more intense and more deadly as the climate continues to change, thanks to our emissions and excesses and our inaction in the face of what is happening.
Does he really think this is a winning platform to run for governor of Texas next year?
Especially right now. Imagine seeing that. But Howie, did you see the other cut? And I apologize, Taylor, because I think it's probably in my cuts. But did you see what I played today in my show about what Chuck Todd said?
Oh, I did. Yeah, it's going to force. It's so cold they're going to be forced to wear masks. Yeah, what a jerk.
The only upside here is I assume the cold weather motivates people to wear a mask because it's one extra layer on your face.
The smugness of these people, like they don't have empathy for anyone.
We're going to have on a guy from Climate Depot. You may have seen him on TV, Mark Morano, I believe his name is, to talk about, this thing. It's like challenging their religion when you tell them that wind power is really not coming through in a big way in the Lone Star State of Texas this week. They get excited and they start yelling on TV. I mean, Allison Camerata is now an expert on energy.
Well, it's funny because their argument is like, no, we didn't invest enough. I think AOC's point was, if we had the Green New Deal, this would not have happened. This is what happens when you don't care enough about windmills and turbines or whatever they're called. It's an interesting argument to make. I don't know if the people who are freezing right now in Texas are buying that, but who knows? Maybe it works for some people. I also, speaking of that, we might as well play Jen Psaki's comment on this, Howie. I'm just going through your cut sheet here like crazy. Let's play cut 8.
Been some inaccurate accusations out there. I'm not sure if former Secretary Perry made these, but that it was that suggested that renewables caused failures in Texas's power grid. And actually, numerous reports have actually shown the contrary, that it was failures in coal and natural gas that contributed to the state's power shortages. And officials at the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which operates the state's power grid, have gone so far as to say that failures in wind and solar were the least significant factors in the blackouts. I know that wasn't exactly your question, but I just wanted to convey that since there's been a lot of confusion about it.
I just wanted to convey that very fake news to you.
No, exactly. And Howie, I find it so interesting because you'll notice that when Biden did his town hall on Tuesday and they were asking about what Jen Psaki said about opening schools, having one day a week, he said, oh, that was a miscommunication. And then she gets out there and she starts clarifying things that she thinks are miscommunication. Like she tried to clarify Biden's comments on China. So they're both
Grace,
clarifying.
you got to use the new word. This is the word the New York Times used when it decided that the Capitol police officer hadn't actually been killed after reporting this for weeks, hundreds of times.
Oh, I know what it is.
They didn't retract. They didn't correct. They didn't clarify. They updated. You update now, Grace. Come on.
She updated Biden's comments on cultural norms. This is cut 7.
President, the full context of his comments was also about how during his conversation with President Xi, he talked about the values of the United States, and that the fact is that even when you are communicating with another world leader and you're having a tough conversation, our values and our priorities, whether it's human rights as it relates to the Uyghurs and what they have suffered through, or the freedom of press or media, they can't take a back seat. And so the context of his comments were that those are issues he's going to continue to raise.
So she's giving context on his comments, and then when he does the town hall, he's saying that she's miscommunicating about the schools. So who are we supposed to believe? I feel like Dr. Fauci, my head is spinning.
Our values. It's pretty funny to hear someone speaking for the Bidens about values. The values is how much are we going to charge and how much is the big guy going to get?
Exactly. And Howie, I never got to this week because of other news, but it is a pretty big story. Do you remember John Sullivan, the videographer for the
Yes, I do. He got $70,000 from CNN and NBC.
Yeah, he was paid big money.
That's in a court filing. That's in a court filing. I got that in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah. And every day I was like, oh, I got to read this story. But I mean, there's just so much sound to get to. But a self-styled leftist activist and an Insurgent USA leader, his name is John Sullivan. He was paid tens of thousands
of dollars. He's from Utah. He's facing trial in Utah for a riot last summer.
So this is how the money breaks down. And his lawyer was the one who submitted this. It was invoices from major broadcasters, $35,000 from CNN, $35,000 from NBC Universal Media, $5,000 updated payment for footage of the siege on the Capitol on Showtime's The Circus inside the greatest political show on earth. You'll notice that none of these are programs we watch. And $2,375 from an Australian Broadcasting Corporation.
Yes, shortly after he cashed his check, he was indicted by a grand jury on 6 charges, including obstruction of an official proceeding, civil disorder, and disorderly conduct.
It's amazing. He made big bucks out of this.
Yeah.
And they were so eager. Like, remember he was on Anderson Cooper? They were so eager to just put him right out there.
And we have a videographer. We have a videographer here who was cheering, and the videographer was screaming, "We got to get this bleep burned. It's our house, mother bleepers. We're getting this bleep," he added.
You sound like Dr. Evil. It's our house, mother bleepers. Hey guys, Grace's News is brought to you by Toyota of Portsmouth, the house of value. I absolutely love my new RAV4 XLE that I got at Toyota of Portsmouth. It's the best car, has the best features, but the best part of it was the process of leasing it. There's no stress, there's no pressure. Everybody at Toyota is fabulous. So they're located just south off the Portsmouth traffic circle off 95. Go to toyotaofportsmouth.com or visit them at the showroom and tell them Grace sent you. Howie, I also wanted to read you, speaking of Ted Cruz, these tweets from Bette Midler. She said she was tweeting about what's happening in Texas, and you know who she blamed?
Donald J. Trump.
She actually blamed God. Well, she took it one step further. She thinks God.
Cuomo has blamed God for the virus.
Jane Fonda thanked God for the virus because she thought it was God's gift. But this is what Bette Midler tweeted. Inept is the wrong word. Hateful, vicious, cruel might all apply. I feel for the people suffering through this weather, but God doesn't seem to like Ted Cruz or John Cornyn. These two are also never recognized that Joe won. If this isn't payback, I don't know what is. If you have to say, I feel for the people suffering through this weather, but you're Trump deranged. You don't always have to add a but into everything.
So a texter is just noticing that isn't there a bit of an irony that Beto O'Rourke is talking about global warming when his home state is freezing in the dark, and he's talking. He's talking about climate change. What planet is this guy? Is he eating dirt again? It's Beto can't even eat dirt because it's frozen in Texas now.
Well, I just think of how Beto over the last couple of months has probably been like staring in the mirror, just going, "What happened? I was supposed to be the gun czar. What happened?" And then he gets word that Ted Cruz is in Cancun. Total ridiculous error by Ted Cruz, but Beto must have been like, "This is, honey, I'm going back to DC. This is my shot." He must have been ecstatic.
What a fool, though. Next thing he's going to do is say Bob Wills is not the king.
Do you want to play one more from Beto before I go, Howie?
Sure.
It's really tempting. I know. It's a good offer. This is cut 28.
If these folks are not held accountable, if Ted Cruz is not expelled, he's not forced to resign, then what you have done is you have set the precedent that it is okay to try to overturn an election, to try to overturn our government.
Can we stop talking in such dramatic fashion?
You mean like the Russian collusion hoax, Beto?
Yeah, exactly. And Howie, I don't know if you heard this. This is the last thing I'll tell you. This is an actual headline from the Washington Post today. This is from Paul Waldman. Let's worry less about catching Biden in a gotcha. That's what they're calling them now. Lies are now gotchas. In a gotcha over his COVID promises, and more about whether his administration is actually succeeding.
Well, Glenn Kessler, the Pinocchio boy, the fact checker, he was making the same point. He was attacking Kayleigh McEnany during the town hall when she was pointing out that every 5 minutes Biden had a new story about how many vaccines there were.
He said that people who were outraged they looked silly, and then later he gave a guide on how us boomer rubes can figure out whether something's a lie or a gotcha.
Did the Washington Post look silly when it was running those fake stories all those years? How about the fake story about the Russians were hacking into the eastern U.S. power grid, and it turned out it was a guy checking his email in Vermont? Did they look silly when they ran that? Did Glenn Kessler look silly when he said that Fred Trump, Donald Trump's father, made this anti-black ad when he wanted to run for mayor, and it was actually a parody ad, which basically said it was a parody ad right on it? But Glenn Kessler he looked pretty silly when he said that.
Howie, enough of these anecdotes.
I know. It's just these are just gotcha moments.
They're just verbal stumbles. Okay. There was another one. There was verbal stumbles, gotcha moments. Oh, he misspoke, and there might be another one. I can't remember. Context taken out of context. What he really meant was.
I tell you, Charlie Baker wishes that he had not stumbled when he said that there are 600 million vaccines, enough to vaccinate 300 Americans. Because if he only had enough to vaccinate 300 Americans, that would let Charlie out of the doghouse, right?
The website wouldn't have crashed.
It wouldn't have been his fault.
On fire about the whole thing. I can't even begin to tell you how pissed off I am.
Oh. Self-pity is not good box office. By the way, we've got up on our website, we've got Holly Robichaux's column about it, and we've also got the actual picture of the octopus and the question mark. When
you said it during at the end of my show, I went to the computer and Googled it. It's a cute little octopus.
I was thinking, when Charlie Parker leaves, if he waits till 2023, I would throw a mask at him. But now I think everyone should throw masks at him when he leaves. But, maybe someone should dress up as an octopus as he takes the long walk down the steps to Beacon Street. I'm
not sure the image is that iconic yet.
But it will be. I think it will be very quickly.
Howie, I know someone who could dress up as an octopus.
Who is that?
You.
Yeah, I could be an octopus.
For $50, I would do it.
Yeah. It would be fun to be an octopus in the Hall of Flags.
You can carry a bucket
you could just run
you.
towards him. You could just run towards him with all your whatever what do you call them? The tentacles.
Yeah.
Going in any direction. Okay, thank you, Grace. I appreciate it. February is recognized as American Heart Month, but talking about supporting heart health isn't enough. Nearly half of all U.S. adults have heart health concerns. We're hearing a lot about cancer these days with Rush and now Bob Dole. but more people die from heart disease than are killed by cancer. More people die from heart disease than anything else. You have to take care of yourself. You have to lose weight. You have to eat right. You have to exercise. And another thing you could do to protect your heart and make it work better is to take Super Beets Heart Chews. Just 2 Super Beets Heart Chews per day. I'm holding it up for the social media. Give you the cardiovascular support and promote the heart healthy energy you need every day. I just took one as the show was beginning. It gave me a little boost of energy. I feel better now. And I know it helps my blood pressure, my circulation. Super Beets Heart Chews combines non-GMO beets and clinically researched grapeseed extract shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. In addition to a healthy diet and exercise, supplementing your efforts with Super Beets Heart Chews to your daily routine is an easy decision to make to support healthy blood pressure and heart health. I have one when I get up in the morning before I go out on my bike ride, and I have one now at this time of day, and I always feel better when I do, and they taste great. They're just they're wrapped in foil like candy. And now when you buy a bag of Super Beets Heart Chews, like I'm holding in my hand, you get a second one for 50% off, plus free shipping when you make your purchase at superbeatsradio.com/Howie. That's superbeatsradio.com/Howie. Superbeatsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.